Hello everybody, yes, it's freezing inside my house, that's why I'm wrapped up in this blanket right now. We have some exciting news about today's patch for the Cycle Frontier 2.6.0. If you're watching this video after, it went live on the 14th of December of 2022, and this will be the last patch for this year, so let's dive straight into what's inside this patch and how it's going to affect you as a prospector. The biggest changes in this patch are what they've done to matchmaking and how it works, and we'll get more into that later. There also is another couple of small changes that they've made to the AI, which we'll discuss at the end, but I'll put the sections down below so that you can skip to whatever thing you're more interested in. So first up, matchmaking. One of the biggest changes to matchmaking that they've made is that the MMR will no longer be loot value based. Instead, your MMR is going to be based off of your kill-death ratio. So that means that you're going to be put with people that are more similar in gun skill and survivability as you. I think it's important to explain to people how the MMR worked previously, because there was a lot of rumor or a lot of controversy about how exactly the MMR used to work. So let me clear that up. The way the MMR worked previous to patch 2.6.0 is that the last 10 or so matches that you had, the average loot value of those 10 matches was used as your MMR. And so based on that loot value and whether you were a solo, duo, or trio, you would have been placed in various buckets that they have, which is essentially just sections of people that they're putting together. And the reason why they used the term buckets is because it wasn't necessarily just solos, just duos, or just trios. However, basically what has been done is Bright Sands has been turned into a specific solo, duos, and squads map. Bright Sands is the only map this is being tested on right now, and they do say that all of these changes are a test, so take that with a grain of salt. But basically the way that it's going to be is solos, duos, and squads. There will be 2 buckets for each number of people, so I'm assuming less good solos, better solos, less good duos, better duos, less good squads, better squads. And what that means is that you should never see a duo if you're in a solo lobby. You should never see a trio if you're in a duo lobby. I'm not sure what the split is going to look like or what KD you need to have to be in the better bucket versus the lower bucket, but assume that you're going to see people more of your skill level in PvP and less randomness. On Crescent Falls, it looks like nothing has changed in the actual buckets. Theris Island only has 2 buckets. So Theris Island has completely separate buckets. And so basically Theris Island has a solos with some duos bucket and a good duos and some trios bucket. I imagine unless you're really struggling as a duo, you're gonna be in with trios as well. And then solos are gonna be in with duos no matter what, but potentially not really sweaty duos, which is gonna be nice because I think as a solo, even if you are really sweaty, it's still really difficult to take on a duo and almost impossible to take on a trio. I think that these changes are actually really good because I think this game is so PvP dependent. Unlike a game like Escape from Tarkov, where you can be stealthy, you can be slow and methodical about the way that you play and avoid conflict, in the Cycle, there are too many sound traps and your moving around just makes too much sound that inevitably you are going to have to fight somebody on the planet. And if you want anything good, you need to go to point of interest and you're going to run into PvP. So I think it makes a lot of sense to link the buckets to your PvP skill and not necessarily to your loot skill. Now, I could see some potential issues with this because people that aren't very good at PvP might have an easier time getting loot than people that are actually really good at PvP that will be in sweatier lobbies going up against sweatier people. Me, for instance, I might be in a sweaty lobby and I just know that I'm gonna have a harder time going around the map because I'm gonna be running into mostly sweaty people now, as opposed to less sweaty people that I might have had before, which means that the experience for the sweaty people is gonna get a lot harder because they're gonna be pitted against people that are actually of their same skill level, as opposed to stomping on people that aren't as good, which will probably make some of them upset because people like winning, I guess. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear what you all have to think about these changes, because I have a feeling like there are going to be a lot of different opinions about this. And the devs want your feedback on this, so please do share how you're feeling in the comments here on the YouTube video. The other really interesting change that I didn't think that was going to happen was they basically made the AI worse. Let me rephrase that. They made the monsters less dangerous. So they reduced the Rattler Beam damage by 30%. They reduced the tick damage, the blast tick damage by 35%, excuse me. And now Striders will not all attack you at the same time, but they'll quote unquote wait their turn. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Basically, the AI will be less dangerous. As a sweaty person who plays this game a lot, I feel like this isn't gonna necessarily change a ton for me, since I'm normally not getting hit by the Rattlers anyways, and usually with Striders, if I'm getting hit by one, it's because one's chasing me and I don't care enough to turn around and shoot it because I'm trying to be stealthy. I really don't see this affecting most people very much, except for the people that really struggle fighting the AI, which are usually the newest people to the game that haven't learned, you know, once you learn how to fight the AI, you kind of learn how to not take damage from it, or learn exactly what you need to do to kind of avoid its damage. So I actually think this is a really good change, because it'll make it easier for newer players to not get one shot by a Rattler if they happen to get stuck in a spot and a Rattler starts shooting at them. I'm hoping that these are good changes, and we'll have to see. In season 3, we know the Howler is coming, and so that's going to be a really interesting change. I've heard some interesting things about it that I'm not at liberty to share, I don't think yet, so we'll have to save those juicy details for later. But that's basically the two big things in this patch. There is some cheat victim compensation adjustments, which should help with people not getting the compensation that they think that they should. Compensating items that were in your safe pockets. So apparently we weren't getting back items that you brought with you in your safe pockets. So, and then there's a bunch of other miscellaneous items. One of them of note is that the max player count was again reduced by 1. So in the past several patches, don't quote me on this, but they've been reducing the total number of people slowly by 1 at a time, which I praise the devs for taking small incremental changes to these things so that they're not doing crazy shifts. Because I think the smaller the adjustments that you do, the more you can feel the impact over time and really figure out what you're changing and how that's affecting how the game is being played. Oh, another one is the spawn radius is going to be a bit further away. Thank heavens, the spawns have been really bad for a long time. So I know that they readjusted where the spawns were and they took away from some spawns, but the radius of which you could spawn next to somebody has been really close for a long time. So hopefully they've pushed that back quite significantly, because I feel bad when somebody lands really close to me and I would rather attack them so that they don't come up and kill me from behind because I left them alone. Once I have the advantage, I'd rather push them, right? And I'm talking about like if they spawn right next to me. I'm not talking about, oh, I see a drop pod, let me just snipe them as they come out of their drop pod. Like, obviously, I don't do that because that's really scummy, and, you know, I hate being shot when I'm coming out of my drop pod, so platinum rule or whatever. But anyways, let me know what you think about these changes, and as always, if you like the content, please do subscribe. Thank you very much to all the people that have subscribed. We're getting really close to 700 subs here on YouTube, so keep up the good work out there, prospectors, and I'll see you on the surface of Fortuna 3. Peace out.